It is almost impressive how easily VP Harris is able to bait Donald Trump into a total meltdown with just 1 or 2 sentences, as she did today. It's also a really clever campaign strategy that diverges from Hillary Clinton's strategy back in 2016. And no shade to Hillary, but she ran a reactive campaign where Donald Trump would lie or throw something to the wall, and Hillary Clinton would try to debunk that lie or appeal to people's common sense, thinking that that is how you win a campaign. But now, VP Harris is doing the opposite. She doesn't bite. Donald Trump tells lie after lie after lie about her being a communist or McDonald's. She never bites. She plays on her turf, and that is exactly what she did today after she held a press conference that Donald Trump was watching, because after she called him out directly, 5 minutes later he was posting on True Social about Kamala Harris. I just watched her press conference, blah, blah, blah. You know, with 5 days to go, we have no time to waste. Make sure you drop a like and make sure you're subscribed. We're trying to get to 1 million subscribers. That is my goal by the end of the year. Let me know. Did you guys vote? Also, I want you guys to let me know in the comments if you voted. So it all started here. I'll play the video, but this Reuters article reads, Kamala Harris says Trump will cut health programs if reelected. And we know that because Speaker of the House Mike Johnson said so during a meeting in a swing state. So Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris warned voters on Thursday that Republican Donald Trump and his allies would scale back healthcare programs if he wins the White House, and said his comments at a Wednesday rally were offensive to women. In a brief press conference, VP Harris reminded voters that former President Trump had tried unsuccessfully to repeal the ACA, also known as Obamacare, and thankfully John McCain saved it with his famous thumbs down, but Donald Trump already tried to do this. In fact, he ran on doing this back in 2015, 2016, and now he's trying to do it again. Quote, healthcare for all Americans is on the line this election, and the reason this is coming back into the limelight is because of this clip of Speaker of the House Mike Johnson right here.
There's a lot of talk. I mean, healthcare reform is going to be a big part of the agenda. When I say we're going to have a very aggressive first 100 days agenda, we got a lot of things though on the table. But healthcare, it's the secret. It's the secret. Healthcare reform is not a secret. There's some really important ideas on the table, and we have a docs caucus.
He said we have some really important ideas on the table, and the healthcare reform is not a secret. A few things there. They don't have ideas. They don't even have concepts of ideas. They've been whipping up these ideas for 9 years now. Also, when they joke about this secret that Donald Trump has referred to multiple times, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson says right here, healthcare reform is not a secret, or not the secret, implying that there is still some secret they are working on. I'll make a video about that later. But then later on in this clip, he says,
No Obamacare?
No Obamacare. Yeah, the ACA is so deeply ingrained. We need massive reform to make this work, and we got a lot of ideas on how to do that.
No Obamacare? He says no Obamacare. He even rolls his eyes when that is said. Clearly, visibly rolls his eyes. So VP Harris took the stage today for a press conference and said this.
Speaker's comments about the Affordable Care Act. Look, I've been saying throughout this campaign, be very clear that among the stakes in this election are whether we continue with the Affordable Care Act or not. It has been a part of Donald Trump's agenda for a very long time. He has made dozens of attempts to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. And now we have further validation of that agenda from his supporter, the Speaker of the House. And what that would mean for the American people is that insurance companies could go back to a time when they would deny you coverage for health insurance based on pre-existing conditions such as you being a survivor of breast cancer, asthma, diabetes. And what I know is that the American people, regardless of who they're voting for,
really quickly, my uncle, who is young, he's still 33, he had his life saved by the ACA and he still relies on it yearly. So stripping that away from him and tens of millions of other Americans is cruel, to say the least.
Know the importance of the Affordable Care Act, as it is also called Obamacare, in terms of expanding people's coverage to health care. Based on a fundamental principle that I hold deeply, access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. So there's still a lot of work to do, but each day I think that there are also indications that we are receiving from my opponent that verify, validate, and reinforce the fact that, one, he is not going to be fighting for women's reproductive rights. He does not prioritize the freedom of women and the intelligence of women to make decisions about their own lives and bodies. And health care for all Americans is on the line in this election as well.
Absolutely. All Americans is online, especially for women, but all Americans. And this prompted a response from Donald Trump basically immediately. So he said, lastly, he said, just watched Kamala's fake news conference. All lies. She is desperate, but more importantly, she looks totally exhausted. She should rest now and leave the campaigning to me. I mean, VP Harris looks anything but exhausted. Donald Trump is the one who on the campaign trail is always talking in this raspy, low voice. And honestly, to be 100% honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they're both pretty damn tired. They've both been doing event after event after event. VP Harris does them all day, and as much as we hate Donald Trump, he does 3 or 4 events a day usually, but he has been canceling a lot of the interviews where he would be going into enemy territory. That is still true. He then said, Lion Kamala is given a news conference now, saying that I want to end the Affordable Care Act. I never mentioned doing that. Never even thought about such a thing. She also said I want to end Social Security. Likewise, never mentioned it or thought of it. She is the one that wants to end Social Security, and she will do it by putting the millions of migrants coming into our country into it. Kamala is a liar. Everything that comes out of her mouth is a lie. It's made up fiction, and she's doing it because she's losing and losing big. So many lies within this, I don't even know where to start. First of all, this is projection when he says everything that comes out of her mouth is a lie. I'm going to highlight this due to it being straight up projection. He then said, I never mentioned repealing the Affordable Care Act. Funny, you don't even have to mention it. You tried it. You tried to do it and John McCain shot it down. That is an absolute lie right there. He said, never even thought about such a thing. She then said, I want to end Social Security. You have mentioned cutting entitlements many times because Donald Trump runs on tax cuts, tax cuts, tax cuts. But if you do tax cuts without cutting entitlements or spending from somewhere, then you run up a massive deficit as Donald Trump did during his first term. He then said she will end Social Security by putting the millions of migrants coming into our country into it. I mean, if they're into it, then doesn't that mean they're paying taxes in the first place and they're paying into the Social Security? I mean, it's all just incoherent lies. Where was I? He has posted 20 times since this just an hour ago. Okay, now we're back here to an hour ago. He said, I would really like to wish our great Bitcoiners a happy 16th anniversary. What is this dude talking about? But I really want to talk about this one. We caught them cheating big in Pennsylvania. Must announce and prosecute now. This is a criminal violation of the law. Stop voter fraud. Check out Kamala's new sleazebag lawyer. And before I debunk this, I do want to show you that yes, Donald Trump was baited into a meltdown that easily by Kamala Harris over simply saying Obamacare was going to be repealed. And Mike Johnson said that exactly. Let me play it one more time.
And so he's going to be thinking about legacy, and we're going to fix all these things. And,
No Obamacare?
No Obamacare. Yeah, the ACA is so deeply ingrained. We need massive reform to make this work, and we got a lot of ideas on how to do that.
We need massive reform, and we've got a lot of ideas, but just vague ideas. So when Donald Trump says, we caught them cheating big, he's referring to this. Liar, liar, pants on fire. And Lancaster, PA, we caught them with 2,600 votes. We caught them cold, 2,600 votes, and every vote was written by the same person. The Lancaster, PA officials said on October 25th that they were investigating 2,500 voter registration applications. An early statement from the county said they were investigating ballots, but that was a typo. Staff noticed that numerous applications appeared to have the same handwriting and were filled out on the same day. Some applications were previously registered voters and their signatures did not match the ones on file. And you know, people hate when I say this, but the fact that these got caught on the same day actually shows the system is working. It doesn't show that there's a flaw in the system. It doesn't even show that there is massive voter fraud because number one, this was a widely politicized story. Number two, it was caught on the same exact day, which means any sort of fraudulent ballots, any sort of fraudulent signatures or fraudulent votes that are turned in are caught the same day, whether it's 1, whether it's 10, or whether it's 2,500. They caught every single one and then turned it into a national story. So this basically proves the system is working, and it would be very hard to hide something like this when it happened one time here and boom, it's a national story, if you guys get what I'm saying. People hate when I say that this is the system working as intended because, of course, nobody should have turned in these 2,600 ballots in the first place. This brings me me on to the way Donald Trump has been talking about women over the past few days, and Kamala Harris's response where she subsequently baited him into more meltdowns. So friend of the show, Hutch, posted on Twitter, guys, and it's early voting in swing states by gender. And I just want to preface this by saying we still have to vote, we still have to mobilize, and early voting statistics don't really mean much. Take this with a grain of salt. We don't know how these people are voting. We don't know why they're voting. We don't know if women are going to turn up on election day or not. Take this with a grain of salt. But if you want to sleep better tonight, it does show that women are absolutely sweeping in the early voting, with Arizona 52% women to 46% men, Nevada 50% women to 48%, Pennsylvania 56% to 44%, that's an 8-point gap, Georgia 56% to 44%, another 8-point gap, North Carolina 55 to 45, that's a 10-point gap. Maybe they hate Mark Robinson that much. Michigan 55% to 45%, Wisconsin 55% to 45%. Now, I don't know what these look like compared to 2020's early numbers, so again, take this with a grain of salt, but this comes at a time when Donald Trump is talking about protecting women whether they like it or not. Watch VP Harris's response.
Comment on the former president, Donald Trump's remark about women and whether they like it or not. And listen, it actually is, I think, very offensive to women in terms of not understanding their agency, their authority, their right, and their ability to make decisions about their own lives, including their own bodies. And this is just the latest on a series of reveals by the former president of how he thinks about women and their agency.
Yep.
Whether he has said, as he has, that women should be punished for their choices, whether he has talked about his pride in taking away a fundamental right from women, whether it be how he has actually created a situation in America where now 1 in 3 women lives in a Trump abortion ban state.
Quote, whether they like it or not. That is just a crazy, crazy thing to say. And Gwen Walls, Tim Walls' wife, said something very similar. This is a great clip right here. And one more time, I'm trying to get to 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. So triple check, make sure you're subscribed to the Mockler channel below.
And over the last few weeks, Trump's been saying we won't have to worry about our reproductive freedom anymore because he'll be our, quote, protector. Well, last night at a rally, Trump told the crowd that his handlers have asked him to stop using that line. And guess what he said next? I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. Whether women like it or not. That pretty much says all you need to know should Donald Trump and the agenda he wants to impose on us.
She's a very good charismatic speaker. Get her out there on the campaign trail more. I say with the next 5 days, get everybody out there in different swing states. Get Obama in PA while Michelle Obama is in Georgia, while Kamala is in one state. That's what they have been doing, but really ramp it up with 5 days to go. Obama needs to be showing up on college campuses, getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students to vote. That would be very powerful. But yeah, I want to end this video by showing that women are absolutely sweeping the early voting in swing states. If you guys live in a swing state, please get out there and vote. Take advantage of early voting. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video, and peace out.